ever expanding beauty, ever expanding beauty, ever expanding beauty, ever.
One love. Thank you for joining the second workshop. We're looking at health for the month of February, 8 Degrees of Yes. I'm Dr. Truth Akins. I start off with a prayer. All glory to the Most High God. We give you all the honor and give you all the glory. Lord, go before and make the crooked places straight. Bring peace beyond human understanding to all those who seem to not be aware at this moment. Lord, enlighten us, enlighten everyone in your holy name, in the name of Yeshua Christ, for peace. Pray for peace in the world, peace in all the places and spaces and countries, that there is a prophecy of a rock of truth by Daniel, and 2 Revelations 22, where the lion lays with the lamb. Lord, looking for your will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. Guide us in this day when we're looking at such tragedy, and bring us hope in your mighty name, Yeshua Christ. Amen. So grateful. So looking at health, it includes mental health, emotional health, and we talked about how it impacts people overall in general in society. And right now, just looking at the youth. And so adverse childhood experiences and suicide attempts, the data shows that children who face adversity, many overcome. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have found that 80% of suicide attempts during childhood and adolescence were attributable to adverse childhood experiences. And that childhood and adolescent suicide attempts increased more than 51-fold with 7 or more adverse child experiences. So you think of the children who've gone through human trafficking, you think of the children who've been molested, you think of the children who've gone through emotional abuse from their parents or caregiver from a young age, that carried on for a long period of time, or abuse in a foster home or group home, or and at the same time dealing with any type of bullying at school, and then they deal with have a learning disability, or they have some other type of experience. They have a father or a mother who they lost, or had a abusive relationship, and they witnessed domestic violence, and they deal with post-traumatic stress or anything of that nature. You know, we're really looking at supporting those youth. And the Bible says the fatherless, you know, Christ came for the fatherless. So we really look at supporting those who have no mother, no father, and they faced adversity. Support those youth, those ones that have been trauma impacted, and let them know that they are more than their trauma, that they are beautiful and made in the likeness and image of the Most High, and have all the opportunity as anyone else. You know, we support them in a way of inspiration and love and guidance, knowing that they're not alone, that we see, that we are here, and that we are always holding a space for them of love. You know, and it's very important to support them. Music sometimes is the best way, because sometimes words just can't express, and not everybody wants to talk about their situation or tell a story about it, but a lot of people love to feel that they are supported, you know, through songs and music, and through learning experiences of projects, and just working together with people in collaboration, and having awareness, a poster, you know, art that shows and expresses the heart, the love. So really looking at expressing that. There's this non-suicidal self-injury in youth. Often people have questions about differences and overlaps between non-suicidal self-injury and suicidal thoughts or behaviors. The difference is that self-injury and the person's intent is not to die. So some students, some young persons may mutilate themselves. I remember back in the day, some people would burn themselves, or they burn other things that could cause risk to themselves, or they do injuries to themselves that through drugs and alcohol or substances. They inhale gas, lean, or sniff pain, or do something that would damage their brain or damage them overall, something that's risky. So this is significant increased risk for suicidal thoughts and behaviors when you see that. Non-suicidal self-injury is defined as the deliberate, direct, and self-inflicted destruction of body tissue resulting in immediate tissue damage for purposes not socially sanctioned and without suicidal attempt. A lot of those risk factors include the depression and suicide risk factors also include use, abuse of alcohol and other drugs, and those injuries, those self-sustaining injuries, social isolation, bullying, both victim and perpetrator, physical pain, poor health outcomes. So the data is really striking when we look at the adolescents. Someone should report it always. If they think someone is at risk for taking their life, ask them the direct question. Ask them, are you going to kill yourself? Do you feel like killing yourself? You know, sometimes those direct questions are the one way to find that direct answer and get help to somebody, especially the young people who may have if youth are showing or express any of the following behaviors or symptoms, they may signal suicide crisis, which is feeling of hopelessness, anxiety, agitation, trouble sleeping all the time, expressions of having no reason for living, no sense of purpose in life, feelings of being trapped, like there's no way out, increased alcohol or drug use, withdrawal from friends, family, community, rage, uncontrolled anger, expressions of wanting or seeking revenge, reckless behavior, or more risky activities, seemingly without thinking. These dramatic mood changes and giving away prized possessions are signs and risk factors that you have to communicate to the youth. Ask them what's going on. Ask them direct questions. Get help to them. So this is part of health. February. This is important to me because, yes, my father committed suicide through a gunshot after a stressful event, after going through a divorce with my mother. He received the divorce papers in the mail, had this rage, got a gun that he had in the home, and grabbed all of us kids and said, I'm going to kill all of you. And he grabbed my mother, started dragging her back to the basement. My older sister called the police, and the police came, and we all left the house. And then later he drank a large amount of alcohol on the phone with my mother, having the same discussion, the stressful event, and while under the influence of some type of bourbon, alcohol, put the gun to his head and killed himself while he was on the phone with her. You know, it's very tragic, and you know, we all had to heal, and we all were children who were at risk because we've had experienced this stressful event as well. And so we had to find support in ways that my single parent mother, you know, struggled with even knowing how to support us. And so going through the school system and being that student that has trauma, you know, you really want to support students today who are in the system who have trauma, but we're more than our trauma. But at the same time, we have to be aware that we're not alone, and really feel supported, and really know that people understand these challenges that we face and support us. And that's critical during these ages of adolescence, and really finding hope. Yes, I'm out here in this beautiful place in Tehachapi Mountains. It's so beautiful. I thought I'd do this workshop outside. So the key goals for prevention and protection of the youth, we want to have pro-sociality. We want them to work together, collaborate together. We want them to communicate with each other. Phones are important when you're working in school, even though most times we don't want phones or AI. It's still good that they schedule or organize on their phone with other students to work together on projects. We want supportive and social networks, empathy and concern about the welfare and rights of others. So something that's guided, organized type of socialization that they can do. School is great, but working in those individual desks sometimes can not be supporting that pro-sociality. And so working in groups occasionally in those class discussions are vital. Psychological flexibility, understanding and acting in service of one's values, adapting to changing circumstances, problem solving that happens when you collaborate with others. You learn from your peers that do have a strong flexibility with their psychological traits, and you learn from them how to be flexible if you don't know, because you haven't grown up with it or experienced it and had a lot of stress. It's really great to socialize with people who do have those positive traits and haven't had experiences with trauma and stress. But you definitely want to stay away from any toxic influences. So we look for protective factors, availability of physical and mental health care, restrictions on lethal means of suicide, safe and supportive school and community environments, sources of continued care after psychiatric hospitalization, connectedness, connection to individuals, family, community, and social institutions, supportive relationships with healthcare providers, coping and problem-solving skills, reasons for living that purpose. So give individuals, ask them what their purpose is. What's that thing you love to do? And always know, yes, you can do it. And at what level is what you're looking at. How much time do you want to invest in it? What do you really want to do? So self-care and then obligation. We can't teach what we don't know. Okay, we can't lead where we won't go. So we have to have our own self-care. We have to have this is why it's critical every February to kind of reflect and look right about how your self-care is in your mental health and your psychological flexibility and your collaboration with others and how you learn from others and work with others, your idea of hope, your idea of inspiring. Is it possible? Can we do it? Yes, we can. And so looking at that in our own selves and our ethical obligations to know it and to be cared for, and to know what to do with ourselves so we're there for others. So there's lots of resources. You can look at the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, www.afsp.org, American Association of Suicidology. It's a website on there. You can see it here. Craig Miller's website, Crisis Text Line, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, Suicide Prevention Resource Center, the Trevor Project for LGBTQ youth. All those links are right there and attached to the video. And next we'll talk about women in the next episode and look at what do women specifically go through when we're looking at mental health, suicide awareness, psychological health. And we are grateful for our health. So always celebrating just the fact that you breathe, that you can speak, that you can see, that you can walk, that you can talk, that your heart beats is always ground one to focus on. So focus on that in meditation. And thank you for joining the workshop and really just focus on journaling. How do you hold up your ethical obligation of self-care? What do you do to be psychologically flexible so you can be there for others? Thank you for joining 8 Degrees of Yes. Have a beautiful and blessed day.
Ever expanding beauty, ever expanding beauty, ever expanding